Can I call you Garrett?
Yeah, absolutely.
Garrett. So, tonight is special for everybody here because a lot of people are aspiring to be in the music business in some form or fashion. Some singer-songwriters, some perhaps want to be in the industry. So I'm hoping that we can figure out how you did this and, help them understand.
I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest.
You started in a small town?
Yep.
And it's in Michigan?
Yeah.
Where was that?
It's a little town called Grand Haven, Michigan.
Yeah.
If anyone knows Michigan, it's on the west side, right on Lake Michigan. It's a little like a freshwater port town. So I grew up among the sand dunes.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
And are there other music artists that came from there?
Yeah, I mean, Grand Rapids is the bigger city that's close by. I think Anthony Kiedis is from there.
Did Madonna come from Michigan?
Madonna, yeah. She has like some wineries up north, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Music was obviously something that you were drawn to. Were you always, from what age did you think, music is my thing? Was it your parents, or how did you get into that? Yeah,
I guess my folks played a lot of records. They had a pretty eclectic record collection growing up, and I listened to a lot of Motown. Music is just sort of in the water, and in Michigan there's a lot of different influence there. And you were listening to LPs, vinyl records? Yeah, they had some LPs, yeah. They had some old, sort of retros, like Turtles and Three Dog Night and Zombies and stuff like that. Just a side note, do you have a record player now? I don't right now. Okay, no. Someone needs to buy him a record player. Yeah, that'd be nice. Vinyl is back. Are you releasing your music on vinyl as well? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, awesome. So growing up, I know there's a little segue history of perhaps your first performing was as a magician. Is this true? Yeah. Do you want to tell us about that? Do any of you know that? Sure. So. Yeah. Back in the magic days. The magic days. Once more muses came into my life, then I had to switch to a musician. But that's all thanks to the magic days. So, I mean, I guess there was a few local magicians in my area, and they had gigs at restaurants, and I remember seeing them performing at these restaurants, and I was just like, well, why am I not doing that? And I was 10 years old, and I was really fascinated by magic. There was this one magic shop that I always visit called Hocus Pocus. And I would go there, and this gentleman, would always show me the new tricks. And then pretty soon we started bartering magic tricks, and I kind of kept increasing my repertoire until I could perform a full show. And I mainly, my bag was sort of close-up magic, sleight of hand, and playing cards and stuff like that. And so my first gig was at this, it was called Juicy's. It was a smoothie bar. And I showed the owner a few magic tricks. I was like, can I do magic here for 2 hours every weekend? And he was like, yeah, sure. Should I worry about my wallet being in my pocket? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and so I did it there, and then I had a couple other restaurant gigs around town, and I really liked how it really kind of got me out of my comfort zone. Because a lot of the times people were they thought I was going to sell something. I would walk up to a table, and they're like, what are you trying to sell? Candy bars for your school or something like that? And I was like, no, I want to show you magic. And a lot of people were like, no. We just want to eat food. And then, and so I kind of got a reputation at this restaurant, and I had so many stories, just crazy stories about people that I meet, and and it just really got me out of my comfort zone at a young age and put me into the performance state of mind, which I really liked. I think that seems to be
possibly the link, right? It's you were performing, and so out of your comfort zone, that must have given you skills to transition into your music career.
Yeah, not exactly directly, but it was definitely my first job as like a front man and like having to sell myself.
And then how did you discover music? What was your first instrument? And
I grew up playing piano. My folks had like a baby grand, and so that's definitely the most natural instrument for me. Guitar I picked up after I graduated high school, which is not natural for me.
Okay.
But people say that I play guitar. I kind of just taught myself, and other guitarists say that I play guitar like a piano.
So
somehow
you play keyboards when you're performing? Do you?
No, not really.
Not
Actually,
so much,
I only write
in the studio.
But yeah.
So you're at home and you've decided to go into music. I mean, there must have been some. I would now want to do music as a career.
Yeah. So let's see. I was always kind of writing music. I had a few different bands in high school, and I had I was a part of a bar band. I joined like a jazz trio that played at the sushi bar, and I was like 17, I think, and they were all like amazing, very prolific instrumentalists, and I was just sort of starting at like singing.
Were you the front?
Yeah, I was like sort of front man.
Yeah. Okay. And writing? Were you?
And no, we're doing covers. We're doing just like anything. We would do like Eminem covers or like Prince.
I want to hear that.
And like, and just like danceable kind of disco stuff, Bee Gees and
That's
kind of
interesting because that's kind of almost still in your music now, right?
They're a big influence. Yeah. So I was in that band. It was called Brown Chicken, Brown Trout.
Go searching on the internet, folks.
I think the internet's wiped clean of that, maybe. But yeah, no, that was fun. And then I was friends with sailboats, and we'd always just go night sailing and play guitar and sing songs.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
And so then, was there a pivotal moment where you were in your hometown that then expanded something into what became almost...
I was actually I was really focusing on filmmaking, and I was planning on going to film school. There's a school in, like an academy in Michigan called Interlochen that I went to for film, and I studied film there as like a junior in high school. And I was planning on going to film school. I was really passionate about screenwriting and editing, and that's kind of everything I was focusing on. And so I started interning with a local filmmaker in my town, and we started making some music videos together. And then he sort of became my manager, and he had never managed anyone before. So it was like we were just homies, and he was like, "Hey, how about like I give this managing thing a shot?" And I was like, "Sure, you know as much as I do." And he's like, "Yeah, I have a few connections in the industry, like I know a few people." And so I was like, "All right, yeah, let's do it."
And then he called Interscope.
And hold Interscope, and here I am.
Just like that.
No, that was like I was like 18 at the time, I think. And so we were sort of just like figuring stuff out at the same time, and we even like at one point drove all the way out to South by. We had like one showcase, and we played South by, and I met this A&R guy that just happened to be at our showcase, and he got me a few writing sessions in New York, and so
South by did become obviously a worthwhile trip.
Yeah. I mean, it was a long drive, and
note to everybody that
we went out there for one showcase, and this guy just happened
How
to be there.
many songs did you have?
We had oh gosh, I don't even know.
Like like a short set.
Probably like EP's worth of music, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, was some of that material? Did any of that material develop into your first EP?
No. This was like me still discovering like what I wanted to do musically and the kind of album that I wanted to make. And I knew it was going to take a lot more than that. I knew I was going to have to write a lot of music.
Did you? So when you went to New York, were you working with other songwriters at the time, or was there someone mentoring you, or did you just find? Were you expanding your own interest in other people's materials, or how did you get to your writing craft?
Yeah, I met this one recording like group in Brooklyn. These guys that go by The Lion's Share, and they became kind of my homies. And then we just...
Is that where the ring is from?
No, actually. Yeah, this is the key to the door. This is a lion.
It's got a beautiful lion ring on.
You just fist bump the door and open sesame.
Amazing.
Yeah. But yeah, I kind of jumped around New York for like a few months, 5 months. Did a lot of writing. Still was really trying to discover like what the sound of the album. And I knew once I heard it, I would know it. But like I just knew I had to keep writing and writing and writing. And I had a lot of sessions that were just with random people around around the city. And like some of them were like, some of them were like, oh yeah, getting closer. Some of them turned out to be just like jingles or like.
Right. When you're writing, at least at this point when you're writing, were you listening or reading other people's lyrics? Were you looking back in history? I mean, you know, people can say, oh, look, he's influenced by T-Rex. I can hear that myself. Mm-hmm. But were you breaking down other people's work to help your work, or were you just kind of going in your own direction?
Yeah, I was breaking down other people's work. I think I was listening to a lot of Tom Waits, actually.
Oh, that's a great writer.
That was like where I really like dove into the Tom Waits catalog. And living in New York, I was living up in Harlem in this like closet, and like just like was listening to like Swordfish trombone up there, and I was like, wow, this just makes so much sense in New York.
Sure. And New York is a writer's town, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got so much going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Was New York an influence specifically?
Yeah, I think so. In the music that I was writing then, I would always walk through Morningside Park and go up to the Hungarian pastry shop and just drink coffee, like espressos, and eat pumpkin pie, and just look at all like the beautiful artist girls drawing portraits. And there was like an art college up there, so I was always like, wow, this is a dream.
So hanging out on a bench, writing about the girls. I get it.
So I was in New York for a little bit, and then I had like one writing session that was a possibility in LA, and I definitely never considered moving there. So I just went with my suitcase and guitar, booked a flight to LA, and I was like, maybe I'll be here for like a month at the most. And that was like spring of 2013, I think.
2013? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so came out here, stayed with like kind of a family friend in the Valley, and wrote a song with this like this writing connection that I had, and was pretty much like, what am I doing here? I was just like totally like I didn't know. I was like felt very lost.
Were you, you know, aside from a few friends, were you on your own?
Yeah.
So you weren't putting a band together?
No. No, I didn't really know anyone in LA.
Right.
And I knew a few people, but I felt really just kind of secluded and alone.
Do you think that helped your writing to some degree?
Yeah.
Because it changes, right?
I think I was just listening to Leonard Cohen and just being sad.
From Tom Waits to Leonard Cohen.
I was really heartbroken too, because I like sort of liked someone in New York, and then I
Heartbreak
came out
makes
here,
good songwriting,
and I was just like, man, what am I doing? I was just like eating sushi in the valley alone.
So which
Crying.
song? Which song is that era?
Well, okay, so then through the songwriter person that I wrote with, she was like, you should meet my friend Kennedy. I feel like you guys would really get along. I was like, okay, I'll meet this Kennedy fellow. Got in a room with Kennedy, hung out at his place in Eagle Rock, and we wrote, actually the first song we wrote was called Wave Machine. And it was like something about, baby, you hit me like a wave machine. But I really liked the sort of the lilt in the song. It just had like this very kind of uplifting feeling to it. And his music, his production was very kind of like disco, like dancey kind of stuff. Right. And we just do it on his laptop with the instruments in the room. He had like a 12-string, a toy piano, like a drum machine. And
so when you say on a laptop, were you Ableton or Logic or?
I think it was Logic.
Logic,
yeah.
Okay.
And we just got along really well. And then the second song we started writing, I had like this chord progression, and I was kind of just singing gibberish lyrics over it. And he was like, "Hey, it kind of sounded like you sang underwater." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that works, I guess." I was like, "Underwater, time is standing still." And he was like, "Hey, my mom's address in Vegas is 10,000 Emerald Pools." And I was like, that's a good title. And so we called it 10,000 Emerald Pools, and
the rest is history.
And then we but the song kind of came together really quickly. All I remember about that song was riding in a room on a scooter, just kind of riding in circles, like singing
in the valley.
And the song kind of happened. It just happened really quickly. And then every day for like a month, we kept writing songs, just kept writing and writing. And then I put some of those demos just up on a website, and I made this image just of like a water scene. I think it was just like the light rays in a pool, kind of like distorted water ripples. And then I put Borns, and for some reason I just went through the yo, and I was like, that looks cool, looks foreign.
See, I thought you were Scandinavian.
Yeah, so does everybody else. Didn't realize that it was pronounced Børns, and that it means children's to anyone that's from Scandinavia.
Is that true?
But I kind of liked that, actually, once I found it out. And so I put it up on this website, and...
is this like a public website or your own?
It was my own. I think it was just called whoisborns.com or something like that. And
were you using SoundCloud and stuff like that?
No, I just had like a makeshift player on the website.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
A friend of mine was kind of dabbling in website making, so he made it for me. And then I started getting like some emails and stuff from like managers and.
Was somebody pushing this out to these people?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think Kennedy had a few connections, yeah, that he showed it to, and they were like, "Hey, I really like that single. What's her name?" or whatever.
You know, I think your voice is beautiful, and
thanks.
I don't think it sounds feminine at all.
I mean, it can. I think it does.
It can in a beautiful way.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, I'm really... This is incredible. So you've moved... All of this happened actually it's a very spontaneous moment. When you met Kennedy, it seems like there must have been some very, very good chemistry of songwriting there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that sounds like a pivotal moment where... It sounds like that's the inciting incident. That's the moment, right? Where
right.
This really...
Yeah, I think it was really a important moment, because I was like, songs are just sort of coming out, and I think that's what you really need to look for, is finding a like songwriting partner or someone that like you both kind of you bring two different worlds together, and it makes something really unique and beautiful, you know. I think if you're too similar to someone, then you're definitely going to be disagreeing, and if you're too completely different than you're going to disagree. But sometimes two different worlds kind of come together, and I don't know. You never really know.
Do you feel like more the musician and him the producer, and is that the role?
I don't know.
Or
I mean,
you're both very musical.
We both kind of played. Yeah.
Do you
all the
consider
instruments.
yourself a producer?
Yes, but not technically. I'm not really engineering.
So
but
you have your ideas.
Yeah,
and you know
definitely.
Obviously, you know the language, so
yeah,
you help guide.
Yeah.
And so
Totally.
you do work with producers though.
yeah.
Yeah.
I work with Tommy English, who I did the rest of the EP with, and then
So
my first album.
You brought quote unquote demos to Tommy?
No,
Or-
Tommy and I kind of started from scratch.
Okay.
It was a similar situation. Tommy English is from Chicago, and so we were like kind of kindred Midwestern souls. And a friend of mine that moved to LA from Michigan was like, "Hey, you should get together with my buddy Tommy, because I feel like you guys would click musically." And Tommy and I got together, and it's kind of a similar thing. I think the first song that we wrote together, he kind of had a track sort of built already with this cool like drum beat thing, and then I just had a line that was like, "All my past lives, they got nothing on me," or whatever. Then we wrote this song called Past Lives together, which is kind of cool. And we were like, "Oh, I like this." And while trying to write that song, we wrote this really just kind of like convoluted chorus that we totally disregarded, and which is the intro of the song now. This kind of like kind of Beach Boysy kind of woo, And then we just put that as the intros of the song.
So
yeah.
at this point now, it's sort of becoming, the songwriting has come together. Your image was just part of you. It's just you, right? Nobody's telling you what to wear.
Right.
You've just been yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like you found your team at this point. And now, did you have like a lot more songs than what ended up on your EP, or did you sort of like put this thing together? Say these are the best. This is what we want to put out, and put a strategy together, or.
I mean, at this point, I didn't really. This was a very also an early point of Tommy and I working together, and also at this point, I was like I found this place kind of in the hills, and I was like, sort of living there, what I thought was going to be temporarily, but I was like, oh, just another month, oh, just one more month, and I ended up staying for like a year. But it was
still in LA.
Was that? Yeah, this is in LA. Yeah.
Like Topanga or something.
Like northeast LA, like close to Highland Park.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so I lived up in this like guest house, and it was really beautiful. It had a kind of like outdoor kitchen,
right?
Like fruit trees and stray cats, and had these really cool kids that lived there with this rad family that loved music, was always playing Bowie records outside, and so I was just living there and
so now you put this is when the EP happened?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
I kind of had like a handful of songs, and I went out and recorded this music video for Emerald Pools, 10,000 Emerald Pools.
Which is incredible. I want to talk to you about that.
Well, that's the like fifth one.
Oh, that's
okay.
Okay.
That's the one that actually surfaced. The first music video was shot
see that.
sort of like guerrilla style with GoPros who went to Hurricane Harbor and decided to shoot it ourselves, and going down inner tubes in slow motion, and we tried to figure out, we want to be very like discreet about shooting a music video in a park, because if they catch you or whatever, they could charge you or something. I don't know. You're supposed to get permission and pay a ridiculous amount of money. So we're trying to be like stealthy. And so the best idea that we got was to get this vibrating like metronome and like strapped it to my leg. And then we put like double the speed on it. So then when I'm filming in slow motion, I'm singing the track like double the speed or triple or quadruple or whatever. And then once we slow down the footage, everything else around me will be going in slow motion, but I'll be singing in perfect time. You know what I mean?
Like,
while I'm going down this inner tube with like this cute girl and we're like singing it to each other.
This Chris Martin's Clocks video did.
Oh, really?
The backwards slow-mo.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I didn't come up with this concept. And so we did that, and something about like a something that's going on your leg, and you're at the top of like this terrifying water slide, just makes your heart like freak out. So it was a fun day, but
you've still got that filmmaker in you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
and so I was up for the challenge. So we did that, made the music video, and then that kind of got in the hands of a kind of like a boutique management publishing company, recording kind of company, these beautiful studios in Silver Lake called Pulse.
Right.
And so I got a call from like the owner of Pulse, this guy Scott Cutler, and he was like, "Hey, like, I saw your video and heard like some of your songs on your website, and I would love for you to come in and like meet everyone, because I really like your vision and music and everything." I was like, "Yeah, cool. Like, I'm taking like a few. I'm like starting to meet with management companies and publishing, and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm kind of on my own." And so I was like, "Yeah, I would love to meet up." And like, so I went to Pulse, and I met everyone that worked there. They kind of all were in a room together, and they're like, "Hi, this is what I do. This is what I do." And I was like, "Oh, cool." And yeah, they just really loved the music, and then and then like for the next week, I just like I was taking other meetings, and I got a call kept getting calls from Scott. He's like, "Hey man, so what do you think? Are you into it? Are you we're gonna do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm meeting with other people, sort of." And like I kind of knew in my gut that I was like, this is definitely the place. Like everyone seems like, very professional and with it. And it's a beautiful studio, and they're very passionate about the music, and it just sort of felt like a good place to be. And so I did it, and I signed with them for publishing and management, and it's been, I mean, I couldn't ask for better people to work with. Like, I trust them with my life.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to see, that's incredible. What a beautiful thing to have such a intimate knowledge of the path. I mean, it's so rare to get this absolute, like, clear path of how this happened. And what I think is fascinating, and I hope that you all do too, is that how much work he put in himself. Because I think the mistake sometimes with some artists is thinking, well, I can hone my skills at home and I can put a band together, I can do this, I can do that, but then someone else is going to get me there. And, Garrett had songs put together, met people, took himself out of his comfort zone, whether it was the magic that got him to have the courage to do that, but he went to LA and he pushed himself further than he expected, fish out of water, met people, lonely, songwriting, go, and then make a video. I mean, he's just put himself in very vulnerable situations, and I mean, that's very impressive for an artist. And I think that, you know, I'm inspired. I hope you're inspired from that story. I mean, you know, it's commendable to, you know, this is not luck. You know, this talent might be something he's born with, but to get himself into the business, there's no luck. I mean, maybe some luck, but it's position that he's worked for. I mean, it's an incredible story of, you know, just self-belief and pushing and pushing and pushing. So I've got to say well done on all of that, you know, and to find the right people who believe in you. I mean, you do have the talent, that's for sure.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel really fortunate to have worked with people that have come across in LA, and just like, yeah, a lot of people that really believed in me, and but yeah.
And so, you know, there's a next level, you know, because now you've got your team, right? And so, you know, the videos are going to go from an idea that maybe you have creatively to now choosing video directors. And do you still have the vision? Do you still help with all of these types of process?
Absolutely.
Because your videos are amazing.
Thanks. I think a big reason why I signed with Børns and that I trusted them so much is that they like really just believed in the vision that I was bringing to the table, and they gave me the time to work on a body of work on like an EP, and there that was kind of the plan in the beginning. It was like, well, do your thing, take your time, make this work exactly how you want to make it, and then after that we'll start having the conversation about, you know, the next step and like labels and stuff like that.
So talk me through the big leap. You know, you've got now Borns, the artist, is no longer Garrett, who's figured it out, who's met his team. You know, how did you get now into label support, and then talk me through the first big success of what it's like to get that exposure that you've obviously wanted, and how your life changes. Let's kind of leap forward a little bit, if you can talk us through a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, still I think before the EP was really like finalized and completed, then it was like, okay, I need a way to perform these songs. Like, I need a band. Oh yeah, I need a band. Okay. Got a music director, someone that just kind of had the database of a lot of different musicians in LA, and they were like, well, what kind of band do you like? Is there any specific kind of musicians or like a look you're going for? And I was like, oh, I kind of want an all-girl band. That'd be cool. And then I was like, well, actually, I kind of like having like a balance of like, you know, energies in the band. And so we just like kind of auditioned a lot of people and gave them sort of some of the material to play. And we found this drummer named KGP, Kristen Gleason Prada, and she was just like such a solid drummer. I don't know, she just played so musically. Like you could tell she listened to the music and like wasn't like playing extraneous fills and stuff like that. It was just like such a solid drummer that I was like, yes, absolutely. And then and then I found a few other people that way, and then we just sort of like practiced just like insane, like so many hours to learn like this EP's worth of music, because it's not just like learning the music, but I didn't want it to feel like just like a hired gun kind of thing. Like I wanted to like really like be making music with these guys, you know. And
how many people are
and gals? In the beginning, there was it was a 4-piece, yeah, okay. And
female drummer.
Yeah, she's
so
a
cool.
She's a badass. She's one of the best drummers I've ever
See, I love
seen.
that. In a world where it's a very male-dominated industry still, and I just love the fact that you have a female drummer. That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, they're just musicians.
Yeah, I love that too. I mean, that's how I feel. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no, music doesn't have a gender. So it's like, it's not like I wasn't doing it for a statement of a female drummer. It's like, she was the best drummer.
That's fantastic.
And I could use,
That's great. Good.
We practiced an insane amount, and played a bunch of shows kind of out of town, under a moniker of a different name, just to get shows under our belts. And we've all played in bands before, and I played in bands before, but I've never like played this music. And so it was just kind of a new thing. I was like, well, I want to start wearing like some very like expressive clothing, and I would like really figure out what this persona is in this music, And I really wanted the music to seem like it was like kind of coming out of what I was wearing,
Do you connect that to the glam era at all?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good example of when music and fashion were kind of synonymous. Kind of the genesis of, guys wearing girls' clothes, and
So
just
Bowie, T-Rex, these are all people for
Yeah,
you?
yeah, exactly.
Very
I just
good.
kind of like how kind of fearless it was, and it helps you get into a different persona, I think, when you're wearing just like different things.
Women's clothes.
Yeah. Or like whatever, whatever fits. Yeah.
Do you, so the image is now coming in. I'm just piecing this together, we've got this leap of now the recording is working, you've got the team, images coming in. Was there a specific performance or was it a label that came in, or was it a performance that happened, or what was the next break?
Well, we had conversations with a few different labels that were into the EP. At this point, the EP was like done. It was called Candy. I think that was the working title. Or was it done? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure I got like a. Actually, wait. No, I think that was just the working title. The EP was finished. It was still had yet to have a cover or whatever, but this body of work was finished, and different labels were interested in it. They really liked it, and there was an A&R guy that I met when I first moved to LA, and his name is Aaron Bayshak, and I met him actually through Kennedy because he was friends with one of Aaron's friends, and they actually came to this like kind of like the treehouse thing that I was living in, and they came and listened to some of these demos that Kennedy and I were doing, and he was like, yeah, let's like keep in touch. And so over like a year later, he was like, well, I'm actually moving to a different company, and so he moved to Interscope. John Janik was now took over, and they just really they loved the music, from the beginning. And John Janik comes from like a more of like an indie label background. He started Fueled by Ramen, and so he just had like a very calm, cool, collective kind of take on my music, and felt really good. Felt like he really liked it for what it was. Yeah. So
is this at this point? Did you sign with?
So it went with Interscope, and it's been a really great experience.
Well, obviously they're a top shelf, amazing label, and have a huge legacy of incredible success with Jimmy Iovine's work and all the team around. How did that propel the next phase? It must have been some kind of a leap for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately, like, when I did choose to sign with Interscope, it was the same feeling that I got from, like, signing with Pulse. And that's, like, those are always big decisions that you're like, oh, man, is this a big one? Like, is this the right idea? And, like, it's really, like, it comes down to just, like, really going with your gut and also just knowing that it's kind of, like, mutual, like, love from both sides. Like, if someone really cares about your work and your vision and your creativity, and I really felt that from Interscope. Like, they didn't want to change anything about the EP, which was really great, and they wanted me to, like, kind of continue working exactly how I was.
So did you immediately start writing your next album, or did you start touring the original EP's material? How did you?
Yeah, just started playing the EP's material. I got together with Tom Windish, showed some interest in the project, and he's a booking agent and a really great individual, like really smart, very mellow guy, and like books like some really amazing bands. And so he showed some interest in the project, and so I ended up signing with Windish, and then we got onto a tour, and that was like the first like tour that I've ever done.
Were you supporting?
Yeah, we were supporting this band called Mr. Wives.
Mr. Wives.
Yeah, and so we went on kind of like a U.S. tour with them. Yeah.
So this must have been playing to bigger audiences than you were used to.
Right. Yeah. This is the first time we toured as a band. So.
Do you remember your first time up on a stage with a big crowd?
Yeah. I mean, we played a good amount of shows, just kind of like often different places before the tour, but the tour was definitely like, first tour life. In the middle of the tour, we did South by and did an insane amount of showcases, and then went back on tour. And I totally lost my voice. Like I couldn't even speak after South by.
How do you adapt to touring? Do you because you still have to keep your creative, you still have to move forward with your craft, and obviously you're kind of pulled out once again out of your comfort zone. I'm assuming you're on a bus at this point.
No,
you're in a plane. You're in a,
we were in a van.
You're in a boat.
we did a lot of van touring.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Hey, that toughens you up.
Yeah, the bus tour is coming. It's coming.
That's the horizon.
Yeah, but a lot of van touring.
See, this is like,
drives.
See how much hard work this is?
Whoa.
My God, we've gone from like...
Yeah, I mean,
don't want you to have to think back to that.
Yeah, I mean, but it's crazy. Like that first tour, like, I've pretty much been on the road since then. Yeah, it's been...
I hope it's a bit more comfortable now.
I mean, yeah, it's like, you gotta be able to, find your own comfort in it. But
you're right. You are writing even in the van. You still are you just pulling experiences now at this point from things you see out the window? Or, I mean, is it like?
No. The window view gets pretty monotonous.
I'm sure.
Definitely a lot of listening to music though. I've definitely discovered a lot of new music just from the people that I'm touring with. So that's a really good way to stay inspired on the road. I think the things that I definitely have to do on the road are like have a yoga mat so I can stretch my Jiminy Cricket legs out, because it's just like when you're crunched up and we've done like a lot of like fly dates too, and long flights and stuff. You just got you got to stretch. That's
and so you
really important.
How many countries have you played now?
We played, we were just over in Europe, and we did a whole tour with Halsey over there, which was really cool. Went to a bunch of countries I've never been to. And we did like a festival thing last summer, which was really cool and like crazy to play for like a festival in Holland, like this very like intimate fest right on this like private lake with these like big circus tents. And it was called Down the Rabbit Hole. And like kind of these Dali-esque like clock sort of like clock gears sort of things that were like these installations that were like slowly turning on these rolling green hills, and you just felt like you're in like a weird dream.
Yeah,
and all audiences are very different, I feel like, in Europe.
Do you find they know your music there? Obviously, do you find or they're discovering your music?
Yeah,
there?
at this point, I don't know if they did. They might have. I mean, it was getting some like radio play.
Mm-hmm.
Here and there, but yeah, it's just so much. Music is so much different. It travels so much differently. People listen differently in other countries. And even the audiences are very different. Yeah.
So
it's the way they react to the music. You know, you're like, I can't totally hate it.
I mean, no.
And then we played like an Elton John cover in Holland, and people were just like, what? Like, I was like, oh, I guess they don't know Elton John in the Netherlands. We played like Benny and the Jets, and we're all like, they're all like, we don't know this. This could be your song. But yeah.
So it's getting bigger now, right? The tours. I mean, you just played Coachella.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about Coachella a bit.
Sure. I'm still
who were you?
undusting.
First of all, who were you camped next to?
Who did I camp next to?
Well, your trailer.
We stayed in a hotel.
You were in a hotel.
Kind of
you didn't have it on site.
No.
No.
We stayed in a hotel. It was like it was kind of like an old sort of Coachella, like lounge singer vibe kind of thing. It was really funny, but we stayed there.
And what was your set time?
Set time, we lucked out and got like the sunset slot in a 10. Yeah,
fantastic.
That was very cool. It was like kind of the sun was going down. It was all pastel. You know, people were just starting to get weird. All of the night crawlers were coming out. And
how'd it go down?
It was good. Yeah, it was. I mean, festivals are just kind of like, I've learned to not be too judgmental of the like there's so much shit that can go wrong in a festival. Like, you don't really get a sound check. It's just sort of like throw and go. Even with like the headliner, it's like, but they have like a crew to make sure like everything's dialed. But yeah, I used to get really just like bent out of shape about it, like festivals. I'm like, oh, my mix isn't perfect, and I'm not like singing my best, or like
you just mellowed out.
Yeah, and like now I've just kind of realized that like that's just kind of how it goes, and you have to like be able to just forget about it and perform. Like, that's definitely a big test a big lesson that I've learned in all these shows that I played. I'm just like, it's never going to be perfect on stage.
Did you?
And if you're too comfortable, then what do you do?
Yeah, right.
Like,
did you listen to some other acts when you were out there?
Yeah. I saw M83.
M83.
They were amazing.
Didn't you tour with them?
We played one show.
One show?
Yeah. We played a show in Phoenix with them, and they played a mix of like some of their past albums and this new album, and it just sounds so amazing.
Was everybody doing Prince covers?
A good amount of people were doing Prince covers. Yeah. And throwing together Prince covers.
Throwing together.
I don't know. I mean, Prince is a huge inspiration. I grew up listening to him, so
yeah, that was.
I just sort of want to just embody his spirit in the performance, instead of like. I was thinking
he must have been an influence on you, because when I listen to your music, I can hear, there's that funk, there's that T-Rex, there's that Bowie. I mean, it's like a lot of music I listened to growing up, and and you just kind of put it together, and it's beautiful.
Well, thanks. I mean, those are 3 very prolific songwriters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely influenced by them, but I don't know if, yeah.
And you're going to play Glastonbury in the UK.
Yeah.
My home.
Yeah.
That's a good festival. Bring some Wellington boots.
Yeah, right. That's
it gets very muddy.
All right.
It's not a clean Coachella experience.
Yeah.
With all that lovely grass fields.
Right.
So, what are you... got any secrets for us? Like, what's coming up next? Or any secrets, actually?
Well, let's see. Just kind of getting ready for playing a bunch of festivals this summer. Kind of getting ready for festival season.
Festival season's coming up, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And working on a new album?
I've had
always.
No, I mean the past album that I made, I was like on tour. I was like between tours and like getting in like a few days here and a few days there, and like it was very much kind of like made while I was on the road, and so that was pretty crazy to make an album that way, but it definitely kept me from overthinking. For sure, because like, you know, with your debut album, you're definitely gonna overthink it. So it was almost better that I didn't have all this time to make an album and like all of this like stuff at my disposal. But
let me ask you, social media.
Yeah.
You know, this is like the way you connect to them.
Oh no, we're here.
Well, I mean,
it's real life.
We're gonna just text each other. We're gonna text the next questions in. Do you Twitter and all that? Do you do all of that stuff?
I Twitter.
You do? Is it you that's on your own Twitter?
Yeah.
So
no, I pay someone to make weird jokes.
Do you talk to your fans directly?
Yeah, I try to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to respond to people.
It's not
there's always
some kid in Interscope sitting there going... assuming your persona, wearing women's clothes.
No.
Well, that's good. So you can tweet him and connect direct.
Connect direct.
Connect direct.
It's like a hotline.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. No. I run my own accounts and everything. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, is that how much time does that take for you?
I mean, well, there's definitely stuff that like there's some stuff that I don't post. That's like tickets, like links, and just certain things that like really need like attention to detail. I'll post, and those will normally have like a bunch of exclamation points and like super stoked. It's normally not me, but. Maybe it is.
So, because these beautiful people are aspiring musicians and music makers and music business people, is there some simple encouragement that you can tell, such as some inspiring thing that you can just address to them directly about? You know?
Wow. Ooh, man. Well, I assume that everybody kind of has like, you know, a very specific ultimate, like, I don't know, avenue, like, that you want to go down. I'm sure, I mean, everybody's different, obviously. But whether it's like songwriting or like being just a songwriter or being a performer, like singer, songwriter, or just being in the music industry. It's kind of crazy how small of a world it is, I guess. Yeah.
Be good. Be nice.
Yeah, I mean, reputation is definitely a thing. Like, if you're enjoyable to work with, or if you're just a good person, you know, you're gonna also attract good people. You know, it's definitely it's an industry like all the other like entertainment industry. There's there's always going to be, you know, sleazeballs, for sure. And you can figure that. You can figure that out. But it's not to say that you're not going to come across those people, but it's definitely a good lesson. But there are really great people in the music industry. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very general thing.
Yes. I mean, I can say it's hard work is what's got you here.
I mean,
put the time in, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it's songwriting that you want to do, like, study other great musicians that you really like. I think, like, the way that I am still learning how to songwrite and that I'm trying to, like, just get better and better and better is just, like, I've studied, like, albums worths of music of people that I really admire, like the Bee Gees. I would go through their, like, collection and, like, learn every chord progression and figure out how they wrote songs and why they went to certain chords, and I just find that really interesting, and I'm always trying to do that to, like, really challenge myself and, like, get me out of my box, you know, for writing music. Yeah. So.
Well, we've touched on a lot of stuff today, and I think you've been so gracious with your time with us. And
yeah, it was my pleasure. Seriously, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.